Good evening. Welcome to Monday, June 24th, 2024. I'm speaking. This is our regular board meeting. We're calling the order at 6:07. Roll call, please.
Piles present. Evans.
Present.
McCarthy.
Here.
Davis.
Excused.
Kennard.
Excused.
Laster.
Excused.
Wester.
Present.
We have quorum.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the June 24th, 24 meeting agenda as amended. We will be moving the presentation down under the Director of Teaching and Learning.
What presentation?
The presentation, the NWEA Spring number 4, will be moving to under Dr. Gardner's report. We will also be moving number 9, the report of the Finance Director. For the action items, we will move those to the first items of action up under the Superintendent's report. We also need to add the action items for the maintenance manager and custodial manager that were presented to us at the last meeting by Mr. Perkins. Those will be added up under Director of Human Resources.
Madam Chair, do we have those motions and
Yes,
contracts?
I have them right here. to
Okay,
be
thank
passed
you.
out. So is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Webster, supported by McCarthy.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
We have any public comment?
We do. Tamisha Bland.
Okay, hello, Board.
Hello. Hi.
As some of you may know, I'm Tamisha Bland. I am a parent to Daryl and Ariel, and I am a EDU staff member for Barth Elementary and for Romulus Middle School. As a parent, I wanted to ask if the road to RECC can be paved in. There's been a lot of wear and tear on cars going up to drop off kids for the GSRP program. I don't know if that can be something worked on. It's just something I wanted to ask as a parent. As a EDU staff member, I wanted to ask if the Gen Ed paras can stay without the ESSER funds, if someone can look into more grants that can be submitted to keep our Gen Ed paras. As a as a sub-teacher at Barth Elementary, I genuinely needed the help, and I did not have it because neither of them were available at the time. Knowing that they won't be available for other substitute teachers like me going on in the years coming, I feel like the kindergarten teachers will definitely need the help. I suffered with the kindergartners asking, a million questions in one, and I was not able to be at a million places in one for all of their needs. So I definitely think a Gen Ed para is needed. That is all.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the June 24th, 2024 consent agenda as presented. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests a discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent's portion. A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Education for the June 10th, 2024 regular meeting, for the June 17th, 2024 special meeting. B, approval of the personnel actions as submitted by Human Resources Department. Kevin Brock. That should be removed.
Any resignations or terminations?
We need to finish the motion
I'm
first.
sorry.
So it was a motion by me, any second?
What's coming off?
We took off B.
Support?
We have a motion by Wester, supported by Piles. Any discussion?
Yes, do we have any terminations or resignations
Or retirement?
or retirement?
No.
Well, we used to see resignations at the beginning of for the past year, we started seeing resignations on every consent agenda. Now we no longer see them, so it has been stated that staff members we are cutting staff by attrition. So have we had any staff members leave because of attrition this past month, this past week, this past 2 weeks?
Trying to understand your question, because those are.
It's a very simple question. Have we lost any staff members? Have we lost any staff?
It's not through attrition. People don't resign because they're being attritioned.
Are people
They're not-
resigning?
People are resigning,
Okay.
yes. We have had resignations, and the reason that they're not coming to the board is we have board policy that stipulates the superintendent can accept resignations, so that's how we operate.
And that's fine.
Superintendent accepts
They don't
resignations.
have to, but we have seen
Yes,
them.
we
Under
do.
your leadership, we have seen resignations in the past.
A long time.
Right.
Probably in over a year. We stopped that practice a long time ago.
Okay, so I'm asking the question, how many
Yes.
resignations?
I have to go back and look. We've had 6 retirements and, well, recently we've had 2 resignations from 2 staff members that were accepting positions elsewhere. I'm expecting probably about 3 or 4, but those aren't through attrition. Those are just positions that people are deciding to take positions elsewhere.
As opposed to renewal of their,
No, they would have a position with us. We have a couple of people who have resigned who would have continued employment with us next year. They're choosing to leave to go somewhere else, not under any duress or anything like that. They're just finding other jobs.
so have we asked for any people to resign versus having them come back to their position as their recall or their reassignment?
Yeah, so typically we don't do that. We give people options, as I've stated before. People have options. So the option to resign or the option to go through certain processes, nobody gets forced to resign. So that's one of their options is to resign and move on, and that's their narrative. So we don't force people to do that. That's not how I operate.
Okay, how many have resigned because
I'd
they
have to
have
give you
not
the
had
total
under
number. I don't
renewal?
have it off the top of my head, but
Okay.
we have recently, I don't know, I have to give you the number. I
If
don't
you
wanna
can
give
send
the
it to
number
us in
and
an email, just to let us know the number. Just
Yeah,
send it to us in an
Well, it's got
email.
to do with the budget that we're
Right.
supposed to vote on tonight. I asked for those numbers in the Google Doc. I asked for the numbers of teachers in June of '23, the number by building, the number of teachers September of '23 by building, and the number of teachers June at the end of this school year. I have yet to receive that in the Google document information.
Okay, that's, I missed that, sorry. I had not responded to that one yet.
Right, okay.
So, Mr. Brock, when you had said that we would not be laying off staff or cutting positions, it would be reducing costs through attrition, how are you defining that? If it's not people who are,
Well, the way it was phrased is incorrect. The way that the question was phrased is we're making people resign due to attrition. Positions are not filled because of attrition. So like if you have a resignation or you have a retirement, that position has the obligation or the opportunity to not be refilled,
Right.
meaning attrition,
Right.
right? So there are positions that we are not filling or that we felt like we were overstaffed, like at the middle school. There's a few positions, one that I can think of that is being filled internally by another teacher, but that position that teacher has left is not being filled due to attrition.
okay, so I know, and I had also submitted that, asking about, in the Google form, but I've also been asking this question since last August in multiple emails, asking what our staffing was by building, how many students we have in class sizes, because we keep hearing we can't keep operating these small classes, but we don't know what is small, how many are there. So I know this board and multiple board members have been asking that for almost a year now. So I guess the question, and I submitted, I put it in here, but I would like to know how many positions, and I asked how many teachers are leaving and we are not filling that position, and what's the equivalent salary, so we can see through attrition what we're saving. Also, Ms. Evans, I hadn't thought to ask that, but also the number of employees and the associated salaries that were given the option to resign as opposed to go through a different unpleasant process, right? And then
I
also
don't know
then.
that's unpleasant. I mean, it's
How
just a
many-
different process
right.
that they have the
Well,
opportunity to take.
okay,
There's
so-
a couple different roads they can take.
Right, so the teachers who would
I
have
would
come.
not add words like unpleasant.
Okay,
I
so.
wouldn't do that.
Staff members who would have otherwise come back, but were presented with an option to resign. So if we can have a number of those positions, along with the corresponding salaries, number of teachers who resigned, but their position is not being filled, or staff, I should say staff, not just teacher, and their associated salaries with that, and then any other positions that will be cut with those salaries, so we can see an overview of, and I know that's why we've requested it before now, so that we could see that in a number impact on budget.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Thank you. Get a roll call, a vote.
Evans,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Piles, yes, Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Report of the superintendent. Dr. Edmondson. No?
Well, they're moving the finance
Something was moved to that,
to
wasn't it?
finance,
We
the
did,
finance.
but his FYI is first, it's still under his.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
General,
okay.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate the, whatever you'd like to call it. So just a quick update, I wanted to, something that had been going around the community. Maybe you heard it or maybe you didn't, just making you aware. We have a golf outing, we had a committee, and the committee at the time had made the decision to move away from Gateway, and we had reasons for that, because it's a committee meeting. And I mean, it was a committee, and we did our due diligence. We went to Lakes of Taylor, which is a beautiful course, as is Gateway. Gateway is beautiful. Well, I started getting some text, and some people were upset. They didn't ask me, but, you're moving, why are you moving? And listen, I want nothing but the best for our kids and our community, period. I believe just because I'm in Romulus doesn't mean by default I just give something to Romulus. You have to earn it just like anyone else. And we've had our golf outings there twice, and they were nice, but there were some additional things that we wanted, and our golf outing seems to be growing and growing, and their facility could not really accommodate that. That's just one thing, though. That's just, so I'd be facetious if I didn't say that there were other things. There are other things. But people in the community, some of them were very upset about it. So what I did was I had a meeting today with the golf committee and the owner of Gateway, as well as the manager. And we came to an agreement after we talked. We were very, very open about what we wanted for our students, number one. And then we can talk about golf. I feel very confident about the resolution. We have gone back and said that we will support Gateway, and we will have our golf outing at Gateway. I wanted to make certain that our kids were able to golf for free, okay? They already pay, during the season, our kids don't pay to play golf there in terms of varsity sports. However, if you understand golf, you know how expensive it is to play. You will never be good if you can't afford the green fees. So we got them to agree that they would support that our kids could come and play golf there, as well as, and they did say free. Please tell me, was I wrong on that? Didn't they say free at at Twilight. At Twilight. But I took it. I also said I want to see our students working there. They need to work there. So they committed to that. It's my responsibility and probably Mr. Perkins there, who is our varsity golf coach, to make that happen. But I'm here to report to the community that we are going to Gateway. We are leaving the Lakes of Taylor to come back to Gateway, and it'll be just as nice. I'm very excited about it, and I do want to thank some people in the community. I'm not going to mention their names, but trying to be problem solvers so that everybody got a win. For me as the superintendent, that wouldn't have been a win for me, and that wouldn't have been a win for us, particularly when you need the community later on, and then they bring up things and say, well, you didn't have the golf outing here. So I feel like we had a good solution now, but I just wanted to make sure that if you hear that, you can absolutely say August 13th, our golf outing is at Gateway. We're very excited. So I would hope that Romulus community residents come on out and support that, for sure. We already have a number of businesses that are supporting that. We've already gotten a number of donations, so I'm very excited about that. And, the money is going to the student councils of the middle school and the high school, as well as the National Honor Society. So I just definitely wanted to clear that up. My next update was that we were very excited that we had 24 students that we've hired for the summer. We had four of them today cleaned out. WIC cleaned a whole room from WIC that it's had a bunch of stuff in there for a long time. They got rid of that. They've done some other things at the middle school too. We have our technology team of students that are helping with Mr. Dennison and getting our technology needs met. And then we have 12 students who are doing, working our summer school. So I'm very excited that we have 24 or 25 students. We also have an organization that has offered us a grant to our students that they can take an additional 10 students to work. And they can work from now until the end of August at $14 to $16 an hour. They have to be 16 to 24 years old. They cannot live in Detroit, but they must live in Wayne County. So now that I know this, I'm trying to get more students, because we did cut, I need you to know that, we did not accept every student, okay? We looked at GPA and we looked at behavior. You don't have them, you're not working for me. And I say that directly. Why would I, or why would we? So now we have an opportunity to go back and get 10 and have them work maintenance, because I know maintenance is going to be really busy in August, so we'll be able to have some more students. And to the community, if you know someone that's 16 to 24 and that would like to work for Romulus Community Schools, send them our way, send them my way, send them Ms. Camilleri's way. We'll work on getting that. That was just my brief update. I will do this because it was asked. Why not? I'm going to do it. So the road to Corey is not ours. Okay, so that's the city's. So all those bumps, I go through them too, and I just sit there and say, dang on. But it's the city owns that, so we can't. It's the city's responsibility. I don't want to say own. City's Smith Road. The city's responsible for that. I don't think that we're going to get any leeway. And if the city really needed to do something, please fix the railroads here first before you go to Smith. No disrespect. No disrespect, and everywhere else. But so that was one. In addition, the question about general ed paras, those can be paid for from, each school has, not each school, schools have title money. If that's how they'd like to use it, that's their choice. Barth is actually getting an additional $60,000 in title money. Romulus Elementary is losing $60,000 because the population has shifted. If you ask the principals, they'll tell you. Populations have shifted. It's based on free and reduced lunch counts. So Barth has now gotten an additional $60,000. Mr. Thompson has been made aware that if he wants to use that money for general ed paraprofessional, that's in his purview as the building principal. But, as we do know, like, those monies are fluid, they come and go. So if they go next year, then that's a different conversation. But he has the money. He said that he'd like to go forth with that, but also understand that paraprofessionals have a responsibility to be around kids. You're not doing some of the things, you're not working in the office, that's not happening. No, those things can't do that. There's some specific rules. So I can just tell you that as of now, Mr. Thompson said that he wants to continue with those paraprofessionals.
You ready? Okay, so here we are. We're getting ready to approve a budget. We're getting ready to approve general fund pay for 2 new employees to the tune of between $50,000 and $70,000 each.
But, let me stop you
No,
there.
no, let me
You already
finish.
know, I think you
Wait,
know.
let me finish.
You said two
And
of
we're,
these. Mm-hmm.
2 of these, right? So here we are, they will each cost us over $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not gonna give kids support. It's gotta come out of a pot of 31A money that could go away. But who are our customers in this district? They are our students. And we are continuously asked to employ more and more staff, and we are cutting the support for our kids. That's all I've got.
Okay, first of all, I appreciate your passion. Wonderful. Just a couple of things. If you don't have the positions that you need, people don't stay anyway. Okay, just so that we're clear. So when you need help in a particular position, if one person is carrying on the duties of 2 and 3 others, they're not going to stay, and other people aren't going to stay. Okay? When you brought up this, I was there when Mr. Perkins made it clear that these 2 positions, we already are paying people with overtime for
Agreed.
these same positions. So the way that was presented, the way that you presented that isn't accurate. Okay, it was presented that we have these 2 positions here, that we already had them working here. They're making enough money with overtime that if you put them into 2 different positions, now they can supervise. You can't supervise when somebody's in your same union. You can't supervise them. So that was brought up. Now, if we talk about, if you talk about positions, first of all, again, I appreciate your passion. I don't know where this narrative is that we're taking away. One of the things that I would say is, A, when you have a contract, you better follow it. That's all I'm going to say. That's my responsibility to follow it. If we have a contract and it's agreed that you're going to have 30 kids per classroom, but we're doing it at 22, well, if we really want to be fiscally responsible too, because, listen, I'm going to do everything I can for kids, but I'm also going to be fiscally responsible. Okay? Those 2, okay, they exist together. Those 2 exist together. So in this case, you know what? There are certain positions that we need, and we have the funds and the grants to be able to afford them. We'll do that. But if we have a class of 17 or 18, and we did have classes of 17 and 18, I'm not having that anymore, and not at all. And maybe it should be at 30. We have split classes, and I was going to say this before. We had a lot of splits. Everybody didn't want to do it. Wait till Dr. Gardner presents the data on our split classes, and we see. I'm pleasantly surprised at a lot of the things that go on. I'm not doing things, or we don't sit around as a cabinet and say, hey, let's create new positions and let's just dog kids out. I mean, and that's how sometimes, I don't want you to feel that way, but sometimes when you say those things, it's like there's this attitude that we're just creating things. And as we said before, when you are a partnership school, which we are, we have to create some positions. You have to create. And I said last week when Dr. Gardner was here, you all were here, I was here, I said, Dr. Gardner said, hey, we need an MTSS coordinator or something. I was like, no, you can't do that, because if we do that, the board is going to have us. That's what I said. The board's going to have us, so maybe we need to do something different and find something different. But what I'd like this board to know in general is this, and this is what I said at Cabinet today. Please understand, Humpty Dumpty existed in this district. We have been putting together a cracked egg for some time, and we're still putting together a cracked egg. That was a quote that every one of them can tell you. I said that twice today. We still have positions, we still have gaps. We're trying to fill them the best we can. We fill them with, in general, if we can do them with kids and the things that kids need, we'll do that. And if we need them and we have some gaps in other places, we'll do it. The thing that I asked this board, and I appreciate you asking me questions, but the thing that I would say to this board and to the community is when you don't have stability at your leadership positions, your egg is cracked. And then we are not in 1990 anymore. People complain about salaries. Salaries across the state with teachers are high. They're high. It's just where we are. I mean, it's just where we are. We're trying to give, as I said, I'm not in the kid business, I'm in the kid business, not the adult business. But there are certain positions that we have to have. I'm not trying to cut. To my knowledge, honestly, I don't even know who's cut. I mean, we're sitting there and you're asking Mr. Brock, like, we've had all this attrition. I'm like, man, I don't know who, I don't even know who, where. I just know that we have to balance a budget, and we're going to do it right. We're not going to do it on the backs of kids, because we're not doing it on the backs of kids. And I will stand behind that anywhere. I don't think any decisions I've made have hurt kids in this district. But I appreciate that question, and maybe I didn't answer it the best way that I could have to you.
So I have a comment on something that you just stated. If positions are not filled and you have people who are doing the work anyway and giving it to them, people will leave. What's going to happen to our staff who are not receiving support of, we'll just say the paras, and it's like beating a dead horse, I understand that, but who are not receiving support, and they are crammed with 30 kids in their classroom?
Okay.
How many of those staff are going to leave?
Well, I'm going to say this. As an elementary teacher, I've had 30 kids. I'm all right with 30 kids. I know
In
that's,
today's, but not in
Yes.
today's situation, and you made that statement about the middle
right.
school even.
but I will say this. With 30 kids, I'm all right teaching 30 kids. You do have probably 10 who are below level. I mean, it's just how it is. They are. But I also understand if I'm going to be, honestly, if I'm a union member and I know what says that contract says, I know I have to abide by it. You want to change it? Let's negotiate that and see how that works. And there's a price to pay. If you negotiate it and you negotiate it down to 25, guess what? Whoosh. Salaries go up because now you're going to have to get somebody else. It's just, you can't have everything. You can't. It says 30, and that's 30. If it says 32, then it's 32. That's a subject of negotiation. If the board does not like that, then we have to go back to the board, and we can negotiate it at a cost. It's going to cost you more, but 30 is reasonable. Do I want 30? No, I don't want 30 at kindergarten. I say that all the time. I do not want it. The best I can, if I can separate it and get it to 20 kids, and I will do it. If I have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and I got to make a class a little bit more on this end to get this one down to 25, I'm going to do it because I understand the importance of that, the foundation, getting them early. But as a fifth grade teacher, 30? I mean, I don't want to ask you how many you have. I won't ask you. Doesn't matter. But 30 is reasonable. But I think at the first grade, it's where I struggle. But again, it's a subject of negotiation. Yes, ma'am.
So to that, Dr. Edmondson, the only part that's subject to negotiation is in excess of the cap, which is, I don't know, 33. So that's the part that's subject to negotiation. We don't say you have to have this many students in your class. The contract during negotiation states for every student you have over this cap, you get paid extra. So even as we're talking about this, yes, we have to abide by our contract negotiations, which states if you have over 33 or 35, I don't know the number, you get X amount of extra dollars per student. But when we're talking about how many students we put in a classroom, we're not talking about contracts. That part isn't subject to negotiation. That part should be subject to what is best for students. And is it best for students to be one of 33 or one of 23? And does that vary when they're in sixth grade versus first grade? And does it vary based on, has the teacher been teaching 15, 20 years? Or is this a first-year teacher? Or is it a permanent sub? So all things aren't equal, and if class size, meaning we have to have at least 30 in a class per contract, which we don't, then we never would have been able to pull off STEAM that had classes of 15 students only. For 60 students, we had 4 core content teachers. They had their own art teacher and their own principal. So for 60 students, we found money for 6 adult salaries. So when we hear that, oh, we can't give our students, for me, this isn't about giving teacher support. This is about giving students support in a classroom. And we know that paras make a difference. And paras, we have building subs that are roaming the halls and in the office. The paras I've seen are assigned to classrooms. So again, and yes, there's title fund, and that's great, but what if building principals have to say, I'm going to use this much title money for a para, what are they forgoing that's also needed? Because again, we've got all of these adult positions, we've got in our budget, we saw we're reducing administrators, we're making cuts on programs, we're making cuts on instruction, but we're bringing in more coaches, we have so much adult support that if our adults need that much support at the cost of our kids not getting the support, maybe there's something wrong with the adults.
So if I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this narrative, I would be thinking that we're not doing anything for kids. No, that's not what I said. I didn't say that you said that. I said that's the narrative. If I was sitting there, that's what I would get from you. I would get from you that people that are running the district have no clue what they're doing, based on what I heard from you. I would get that idea that we have, and that's how I feel, that we have no clue. It's almost like, and again, I don't want to get into push and pull with you, but I'm like, I guess nobody can do it as good as you. That's kind of how I feel when I sit at this table. That's how you come at us all the time.
No, sir.
It is.
What I'm
Listen,
saying
let me
is-
stop
okay,
there.
Go ahead, I'm
okay?
sorry.
And the reason I say you say no, sir, I would say maybe that's not your intent, okay? But if that's how I receive it, then that's what exactly is going on, and that's how I receive it. You would think that our scores were so bad or that we would be doing so poorly. As I said last week, I said, man, the narrative that you leave with, okay, the narrative that is left by what we hear at this table by some board members is amazing. I wonder, have you been in a school yet? Have you been in a school to make that statement? Like we're not treating kids right, we're not giving them what they deserve. I wish that Dr. Gardner had gone first so that maybe we could see how well we are doing, because we don't ever talk about that. We're taking resources away from kids. I mean, what? I mean, seriously, what? We're taking resources away from kids? And again, let's talk about, again, if we're doing, if we are going into negotiations, the contract does matter. And my responsibility is a fiscal responsibility as well. I love when people say all the time, give the kids everything. At what cost? I mean, at what cost? There is a cost. You can't. And we have a team of people who are doing it and doing it at a very high level of moving this district forward, in spite of what we hear. And again, maybe that you don't mean it that way. Maybe you don't mean it, but if you just watch a few board meetings and see how you come at people who are doing good work, where's the, hey, we appreciate this year, like, wow, you cut $7 million, you were able to do that. Ask Wayne Westland how they did. Ask some of these other districts, how are they gonna still support kids when they lose that money? We're still supporting kids. We still lost money. I mean, we lost the money too. We're still supporting kids. We have to we're creating positions that we think these people are already hired. They're already here. Jason Perkins explained it clearly and articulately how we need to do that. If you have a question about anything, please come in and sit in our meetings and you can sit and hear what we talk about and how we do it and what we try to do for kids. Again, I'm gonna say, we continue to try to move this district forward. Okay, the district was cracked. It was cracked. We don't ever talk about that. It's cracked, and we're trying to move it forward. I have no problem with questions, anybody asking me questions, but when it feels a little bit targeted, like, we're not doing for kids, wrong guy. That's definitely not me. That must be reserved for someone else. Okay, I'm in the business, and we're in the business for trying to move these kids forward, okay, academically, socially, and a whole bunch of other things. And I would at least like that sometimes that when we sit at this table, you could at least not acknowledge that before you say that we're cutting and we're creating all these jobs for adults and things like that. I feel some kind of way about that. I feel some kind of way when I leave this table and I'm like, wow, that's what you get after all the hard work that we have done to fix this egg, to fix it, and we have some great growth data. I don't know what else to tell you.
Dr. Edmondson, all I had said was when it's presented that it was presented as if we have to have classrooms of 30 students per the contract, and that is not an accurate statement.
But I have the
We can have
flexibility.
classes
I have
as
the
small
flex-
as
I have the
15,
flexibility.
hence the STEAM classes.
Right, but I have the flexibility to do that. okay?
Exactly.
And we had the flexibility, and we have the flexibility to do that and continue to move the district. Everything that we do that doesn't align with maybe what you want, then it's like, well, why are you doing? I can explain it. We can certainly explain it.
I didn't say about what I want. I'm saying there seems to be contradictory statements made. And the one statement that the collective bargaining agreement that we must abide by requires us to have 30 students in a classroom. That's simply not accurate.
We can
No
go up to
such
30
collective-
students or 33 students.
go
We
up
can
to
do that.
30.
So when I do it, then what's the problem? If we do it,
No,
what's the problem?
but that's
There's no
fine.
problem.
Then that's fine. But I'm saying, what else is taken into consideration? I mean, we've heard wonderful things about STEAM, and it was attributed to small classroom sizes, project-based learning. and it was said at this table, maybe that should be the model for the whole middle school, then the whole district. So if we can take 60 kids and assign 6 salaries, full-time salaries to 60 kids, why
What
can't
is
we?
the, I'm going to
My
ask you,
question is
what's the
why?
question? Because
Okay,
we're sitting here for 30 minutes. What's the question?
There's
that I
no
haven't
question.
answered?
I'm just saying.
And I'm sorry to come at you that,
My
but I'm like,
question is
I wanna
could we
sit here
have
for 30 minutes.
consistency?
What's that?
Could we have consistency and accurate information go from the
The answer
table?
is yes.
Thank you.
I think that was my two. I didn't have anything else to say, except I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much. No matter what I say to you all, I'm happy to be sitting in this seat, okay? It's better than working at a golf course.
We need to, yes, action item A, yes. Recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approves the 23-24 amended budget as presented. Rationale was the 23-24 amended budget. Budget implications, all exhibits are given to us.
Support.
We have a motion by Wester, supported by McCarthy. Any discussion?
This is for A, the 23-24 amended budget,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So my question is, and I know, Ms. Evans, I know you brought it up before the meeting, I hadn't thought about it. We're required to have the budget hearing, which did not take place, so how are we affected?
Madam Secretary, that is not what we're voting on right now. We're doing A, the
the amended-
23-24 amended budget.
An amended budget.
Right, but I mean, we do those things both in the budget hearing. So my question is, since both of those are presented, are we able to vote on that?
I didn't think that the amended budget was part of the budget hearing. Just the new budget
Okay.
was my understanding.
Okay, so that's my, that was my question. I want to,
They're two
because you
separate-
brought that up, so I just wanted to make sure
The
that,
amended budget is not part of the budget
Okay.
hearing.
Roll call vote?
was this Wester supported by McCarthy?
Yes,
McCarthy?
Yes.
Piles, yes. Evans?
yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Move that the Board of Education approves the 24-25 projected budget as amended. 24-25 budget is the rationale. Budget implications are all exhibits are attached. Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Wester, supported by McCarthy.
So I have the same question for this.
Because there was no budget hearing posted. We had it posted. There was no quorum, so we could not do a budget hearing.
Dr. Gissing,
According to MASB, we cannot vote on a budget that, where there was no public hearing for the budget.
So as part of our truth in taxation, we are required to discuss the mills that we are levying on our property tax owners. We did that at the 6 o'clock meeting. And part of the process is to put an ad in the newspaper. The newspaper said 6 o'clock. So we started at 5, there wasn't a quorum. We continued at 6 and proceeded to discuss the mills that would be levied as a topic of that conversation. So we have fulfilled our budget hearing requirements.
So we did not, I'm just going to ask the question, you can look at me like I'm crazy, but we did not post the correct time in the newspaper because we had,
Put 6 o'clock in the newspaper, and
Wow.
we switched it to 5, but all we need to do is discuss how many mills are going to be levied to our property tax owners. So when we switched it to 5 o'clock, my plan was to have that conversation both at 5 o'clock and also at 6 o'clock. So we didn't have the 5 o'clock meeting, but we did announce the mills that we are levying at the 6 o'clock meeting. And the board actually voted on the L4029 at that meeting, which fulfills the district's requirements to meet the truth and taxation budget hearing.
So actually, I was going to ask about that too, because since we did not have a budget hearing, we should not have voted on that L4029.
But we did have a budget hearing.
Okay,
Because
so,
that was the conversation we had at 6 o'clock was, hey, here's our L4029. This is the mills that we're levying, the reasons why, and how much those mills were.
Then why
So
were
I
we called
wait,
into a
I'm sorry.
special meeting at 5 o'clock?
well, and yeah, I'm back on that too. Can we see a copy of that posting, please? Because had we had our 5 o'clock meeting, this board would have violated OMA
No, they
for our
wouldn't have,
budget
because I
hearing.
was going to have that conversation at 6 o'clock as well, when we had a larger audience. So the topic of conversation was going to be the mills that the district is levying, whether we have a quorum at 5 o'clock, or if we had a quorum at 6 o'clock, we would have that conversation, and that fulfills our truth and taxation
Not according to
requirements.
MASC
So here's the
legal.
thing, though, it's a budget hearing and truth and taxation. And if what was done during our 6 o'clock regular board meeting, that's not a presentation. We were flying through the pages. I had to keep raising my hand and asking you to come back. That budget was not presented.
So it's the L4029 is what we actually are voting on when it comes to the mills that are being levied.
For the L40, for the truth and taxation, yes.
That is considered our budget hearing, that one document.
It's the truth and taxation, yes.
No, not the budget hearing. It's the budget hearing and truth and taxation. That's two things that takes place in the budget hearing.
Well, so I have this question. What happens if we do not pass this budget tonight?
The district cannot incur any expenditures without board appropriation. So on the stroke of midnight, on June 30th, we have to shut the district down, which will also include the air conditioning, because the board has not appropriated any utility expenses. So you'll see this happening at the state level from time to time. It might even happen this year, so you can stay tuned because it gets very interesting. At the stroke of midnight, you've probably heard about the deliberations that they have all the way through the process up until the deadline. They'll make an emergency appropriation for instance, the Michigan State Police, so that our citizens are safe on the roads. And so they just don't, they'll make an emergency appropriation for that so that those activities can continue. But if you want to shut the district down, we could do
No,
that.
and don't point
Yeah,
it at
that's
us,
not even right.
okay? Because there are still questions in the Google form that haven't been answered, okay? There are still questions that I have about this budget that I am thinking that were missed. And to come here and say, if I want to shut this district down, I do not, I absolutely do not.
We would have to. Yeah, we would have
Okay.
to. So this is the fourth hearing that we have had about the budget.
And if we had had the slowness of our questions being answered professionally at any time that we want to ask a question, I mean, seriously, I have never had to ask any question of a finances through a Google sheet to possibly get an answer, okay? I could ask a question and the answers are sent to the entire board, so that there is never a violation of OMA, oh, so-and-so's getting this information, not everybody's getting the information, but yet we have to go this special route, and communication is, in my eyes, is just not there.
The
And this
reason
isn't the
why we
fourth, because we're not
selected-
hearing anything tonight.
The reason why we selected the Google Doc, that was a function of the Finance Committee. And the reason why we did it is
Subcommittee,
because
right.
that, sure, so that we could keep track of the volumes of questions that we were receiving. And even tonight, I've been asking this question since 2023, right? So that's what we were trying to avoid by having the Google Doc. And let's also be clear, we put the questions in the Google Doc for you. So
I
if you
agree.
don't want to put the questions in the Google Doc, we do it.
I did.
'Cause
I added some
We don't want to
today.
miss anything.
Right.
And any question you've posed to me, I've answered.
So I have a question on that, because I know that Ms. Evans had submitted some questions and regarding finances, and there was a response that
Emails were sent.
emails were sent to the whole board, and I know the same with summer school. I don't know, I've checked my spam too. I don't see any of those emails, so if a board member who has those would kindly forward, or the sender would resend, I would appreciate it. Because a lot of those, I didn't submit them, but I also had the questions and I had a follow-up. Eve, could you get us a copy of the posting, please? Okay, thank you.
So let me speak here if I can, just to a couple things. And I'm going to start with Trustee Evans here. You are more than welcome. We have said this over and over and over, to come in and have a conversation. Why are we doing this? Why? She's here Mondays and Tuesdays. It's that easy to come in and instead of waiting till now and then let me
You
me
know,
just
I'm not
attack
here
you all
to
because you
attack.
didn't give me-
I'm not here to attack. I
No,
am
but
here
let me
to ask
listen,
questions
let
that
me
I have
finish
been
though.
asked by the
Right,
community.
let me ask, if you've been asked by the community, then you should be coming in here for the community, asking her directly. Give me the information, please. The
also
community keeps
available
asking
at
me.
your convenience.
That's one. Two, we get back to Ms. Piles. You continue to send us 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 questions a week.
You know what? That is such a
true.
lie.
That is
That
not a
is
lie.
such a lie.
One thing I'm not
That is
is
such
a
a
liar,
lie.
I can
That-
tell you
well,
that.
that is a
Let's
lie.
pull it up. Let's
That's
pull it
lie.
up.
Because you
Let's
know
pull
what?
it up. No,
And as
you said
Dr.
it's a lie.
Gissinger said,
Listen,
where
you
I
just
have to
said-
keep asking
of
the same
order,
question,
please.
I have to keep asking the
just
same
said I'm
question,
lying.
it's because it's not answered. I don't
Pull it
send
up.
19 questions
Pull
a
it up.
week.
Pull it up. Show I'm a liar.
I'm sorry.
Show that I'm a liar. Pull it up.
It has not been 19 a week.
Lately.
Well,
But as soon as we
but
answer
my
it, Trustee
no,
Piles,
my
Secretary
questions are
Piles,
asked because, again, because they're not answered. So let's
Listen.
count that as one.
why don't you, again, you send a question. Actually, you send many questions.
Yep.
Then they're answered. Then you send a ton more, as though we don't work. Come on in here and see what I do. Come on in here. You can come to any one of our cabinet meetings, and you can ask every single question that you want. But instead, you wait till the board meeting
That's
because
not
it's
true.
showtime.
That's
Let
not
me go
true.
do this because it's showtime, and now I'm going to say, and you do it all the time. You sit there and you say, I've been asking this for a year. Oh, my gosh. Pull up. That's why we asked you to do this, because you have so many.
It's the
So
same
many
question for a
emails.
year
Then
about
come on
staffing,
in.
about
Then
the
come
rep.
in.
And it's,
Then
so
come
yes, then
in.
I put it in here.
Then
And
come
it still
in.
goes unanswered.
You just put it in
And you're
there.
aware that
But
stuff
come
gets
in.
unanswered.
What I say to you, Trustee or Secretary
And so,
Piles,
yes,
is
sir,
what
I
I say
have
to
to
you.
ask 3 questions.
isn't the first
Because when I
time.
simply ask about the middle school field trips that we approved on the check register,
up.
I get all this other stuff.
No, I just said, it's
I
so
can
many.
read my
It's
questions.
so many. It's so many. There's no
So-
respect
So a
for the
board
work
member
that we
asked
do.
about a lawsuit. There has been no lawsuit filed at this time. An attorney from Meta has reached out to our attorney to discuss potential settlement. I asked, what is the name of the Meta's attorney, and when will the discussion be shared with board members? That is perfectly legitimate.
I didn't say, listen, did I not say that they were
Field trips that we
legitimate?
approved, I asked. So how much has been allocated for field trips? Because Dr. Gardner told us 1,400. The trips totaled, I don't know, over 2,000. So I asked about them and how, and she also said that there's only one day field trip per trip. The check register showed 2. That's a board lane. We approved that, but we're getting conflicting information. So I asked, so who gets to go on, then we were told, it's an extension of the school year. That's great. Who gets to go? How were they notified? I'm talking to
Okay,
middle
so
school
let's
parents who are
get
saying there's
back to
nothing
this.
for them.
Let's get
So,
back to this.
yes,
then.
the questions that I
Listen, let's
ask
get
is
back to
because
this.
we are misled in open meeting, and I'm going to keep
Again,
asking
there
those
you go.
questions
There you go
every
again.
time we're misled.
There you go again
Just
about
like it
misled.
was said that the contract requires us to have 30 kids per class. No, it doesn't.
You level some heck of, some allegations. Okay, yes, I will. But you level, you
I'm
get
just
that
saying,
microphone, you
it's
like to say a whole lot
misleading.
of
That's
stuff.
why I have to ask
So
the
let me ask
question
you
3
this.
different ways, because everybody pretends they don't know what I'm
Let me
asking.
ask you this, okay? If something is not working, we would say it was a dead horse, right? We're beating a dead horse, and you continue to beat the dead horse. So just come in. We have given that to you every single time, Debbie Piles. Come on in. Ask the questions. Ask. We're here. But instead, you do that, and like, I need to do my daily job.
So,
I'm
Dr.
good. I'm
Edmondson,
good. I'm
so
sorry.
it
I'm
takes
done.
less time if I come in and meet with people?
I'm done. I'm done. Thank you. To the community, I apologize. I'm done. I don't need to.
There's no need
I don't
for
want it to be
apology.
personal, but there is.
No, there's no need for
There
apology
is, there
because,
is,
you know, we
there
all,
is. There
we're,
is. I'm just
the
apologizing.
people that are sitting at this table are passionate about this district, contrary to what some people in the audience might think. We are passionate about this district.
Thank you, Maria.
okay? And we all want what is best for students. And I think that that's part of our mission statement. I think that's part of our vision, is for students. And if we don't ask questions where we have financial, I always say, I'm scratching my head thinking, then are we doing our jobs for students? So we
And I-
don't need to,
listen,
and we
I
don't,
think-
and we don't need to sit here and go,
It's
it's
just
such heated.
tiring.
I know, it is. It's, and you and I talk about it,
We
okay?
talk on the phone.
We talk on the phone, right? So we talk about it. But the community has contacted me about some questions. And if I get a private response, do they even know that I've communicated with you if I don't ask that question at this table? I'm here to represent the community, and that's why sometimes I come to this table and ask the questions, because the community is watching our meetings, okay? I'm getting phone calls every other day about paras, okay? Seriously. Paras, okay?
it sounded like
Paraprofessionals, not paras.
Not
but
paras.
professional teacher. But yes, so, again, we are all passionate about students. And I don't mean to speak for everybody at this table, but, I just think that that's our goal.
First of all, I appreciate that. I don't question anybody's passion. I question the attack, the mode that it's done. I don't have a problem with that. What I would share with the board too is this. When people ask you questions, tell them, come on in.
I tell them all the time,
Come
why
on
aren't
in."
you at a board
Right.
meeting?
Not just, I'm not talking about a board meeting.
Okay.
I'm just not talking about a board meeting. Okay, I'm around the community. A lot of us are around the community. Come in and talk. It's okay. I'm a regular person. Encourage people to come out and see us and to ask questions and to come in here and not just be you delivering the information. Come and ask me. I put out enough information. I continue to inundate the community. I figured I'd stop a little bit.
You did, yeah.
I thought I'd stop a little bit because I'm always
"Oh, it's
trying to
Sunday,
put
here
out.
comes the phone
Sunday,
call."
here it
I
comes.
stopped that. But I continue to try to educate, and all I would want for this board is to be on the same page with me and my team and say something like that. Hey, listen, come on in. You want to meet Dr. E? Come and meet Dr. Edmondson. You want to meet Dr. Gardner? We'll ask her. We'll sit down together and ask. I'd love to be able to do that, but instead, I come here and it's just the continual, and that's what I'm saying. If a dead horse is dead, you don't keep beating the horse. You say, okay, this isn't working, maybe we need to try something different. Maybe we can sit with your cabinet and ask you questions on Tuesday. Sure, we'll do that. I'm open to, if this isn't working, I'm open to something else. But I just don't, it's the attack, it's the mode, you set me right back. It's like, let's get them. That's just how it feels, okay? And that's how I think it's viewed as well. Let's get them. I can't, it's just too much. It's just too much, where we can sit down, and I have said to you, what have I said to you?
That you can't do it,
But
so
what have
don't
I-
say that.
Admitting that I can't do what?
I can't do this, I can't.
No, I'm not
do
saying that. I'm just saying that
Right.
emotionally, it's just enough. It's just enough. At some point, we should have been way beyond this point. I've said to you, we have gotten much better. I said
Absolutely.
we have gotten much better. And that's all I'd ask. Listen, we can have these conversations, and you say, I talk to you because I don't want to get in front. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Right.
And that's all I'm asking. But I also say to the board, okay, the same way I say this. People that are there, I didn't hire them all. I hired some of them. I didn't hire them all, but I got to trust that they do their job. I'm going to trust that they do their job. They're going to do their job right. They may not do it the way necessarily that I want it to be done, but they're a team. We're a team, and we will continue to be a team the same way as the board. But if I didn't give them support and I was on them every single time, after a while, people just get tired. Okay, and I get tired. I get just tired, like, man. And I know we have to balance a budget. And I will say, I do know this. I'm not going to say when, but not too long ago, a budget was not passed. It was not approved, and this district kept going. And I said, you should have shut that district down. You have an obligation to shut down your district when you don't pass the budget. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. If we have to do another meeting and that's what I'll do whatever. I don't want that because I think that will crush this district. If we have to shut down, you don't get paid, we don't get paid, nobody gets paid, we're in trouble. So ask the questions and, hey,
So Dr. Edmondson, can we just, before we vote on this, Madam Chair, can we just see, and Eve, I did look on our website, and it's just our regular calendar. I mean, that's posted for a regular meeting, not a budget hearing, but did we follow the guidelines of posting in a paper? Okay. And do we have, and Dr. Edmondson, I apologize, because I don't want to attack or even be perceived like I'm attacking. I do get very frustrated when I'm submitting them in the Google Doc and not getting answers, and I still have the question, so I'm going to keep asking the question, and I get frustrated because it was advertised 5 o'clock. It was posted 5 o'clock, not 6.
And then I think we went back to 5.
So,
But Secretary Paz, let me just take this real fast. You are more than welcome, and I know you've done it before. Never under my administration have you ever done it. Mondays, 9 to 11 o'clock, we have a cabinet meeting. Come on in, ask us. We're all there. Everybody is very upbeat. Ask whatever. You get the information.
The room will become deflated. No, and I don't mean that. We have to,
Thank you. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
okay, but, no, I did. I had questions about, the budget.
can,
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ms. Evans?
I do have one final question I asked Dr. Edmondson today. I don't know if he was able to get that answer. Where is the Merriman money in the budget?
I
We
can
should
let
be-
Maria explain that, or I can explain it. It's real simple.
Whatever, I just want to make sure that it's in this and
So-
that it's set aside for special programs.
It's not set aside yet until we get it.
We get it.
Till we get it. So if we put it in there, it looks like, oh, we're going to get this money.
Right.
Let's get the money first. We'll put it in there. But that deal has broken down how many times since I've been here?
But
Two
where
or
will
three
it be?
times.
Where can
You
we?
asked for it to be in some special, you had said that before. We're all aware of that. You were like, put it aside in some special account so that we can, I forgot what you said. You want to do something specific with it.
So trustee Pels, can you check your email, because I
just got a
okay,
buzz,
and then
yeah,
I also sent you the newspaper posting.
thank you.
Okay, so that is all taken care of then. We are within the state guidelines for what we have done with this budget.
Yes.
And then where are we putting the Merriman money?
We aren't. It's not in the budget.
Where will it go?
So that's for us to determine when it happens.
Right, okay. She did, yes, okay, okay. So it will be created, and when we do sell, we'll all be informed of
It'll
where
be
it went.
included in the amended budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, very good.
I'm telling you, I mean, so, okay, so I guess because we had talked about the different cuts that were made in programs, and obviously, it's not just, it's because we're losing 7.2 million in ESSER money. So cuts came from everywhere. So, but so if we approve this, can we get information on, like the attrition, the positions that, will not be filled, those questions that we've submitted in the Google Doc, and also, so we can see that, because my concern is, and I know we need to vote, we cannot shut the district down, but personally, I have difficulty voting yes on a budget that cuts programs, cuts administrators, cuts instruction, cut special ed in half. Like, that's a question I had. How do we cut special ed by $1 million when that's, special ed accommodations are mandatory? So that was one of the questions I had. How do we cut that?
Maybe Mr. Meese could do a presentation on his, I'm sorry, Dr. Meese. I'm sorry, I apologize for the title.
This is going
Possibly
to,
Dr.
excuse me
Meese
for
could
one second, because Vice President McCarthy had to leave, so there's no action items or anything right now until she gets back. So it's just open
Discussion,
dialogue, right?
Okay.
I'm just saying, we're on the record that
Okay.
this is dialogue.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So maybe
dialogue.
I can continue to make this comment though, right? Maybe Dr. Meese could prepare a detail of organizational money, budget planning, however you want to phrase it for your department, because one of the things that if we're cutting it, what happens to unified sports? Ding, ding, ding.
Right. funding for unified sports, but I'm just talking about the regular things we have. So I think our special ed, and I don't have the previous.
And if he can give us a detail of what we're looking for, you know, a budget of $1 million, where did you cut type thing, and what do we see for the future for the special ed department? Yeah, just, I mean, we've got all.
They have to be, right?
I'm gonna try that. Rest assured, that's the phrase I'm gonna use. Rest assured. Dr. Meese, that was a good one.
Sounds
Rest
like-
assured, and you all believe me.
So, Dr. Gissinger, the other question I had is, in our budget, we've had every year budgeted for the standardized testing, and then in this budget, that was taken out. So I'm wondering how do we cover those costs, which are reoccurring, and they're unchanging each year, but they've been cut.
I didn't hear that the standardized testing was taken out of the budget.
Yeah,
How
it
could
was-
that possibly be?
That's my question, yeah.
It wasn't. We
So,
budgeted for it.
do you have a copy of the draft with the side-by-side?
I don't.
Okay, let me pull it up. It was on the page with, right around where special ed was, and it had testing, and it showed what we spent this year, and then it showed the supplies, the salary, and there was like zeros. And I'm like, so I didn't understand. And thank you for the newspaper ad. That's my name, so. But thank you, that does.
Well, in the email that you confirmed you received this evening was a forward to the same email address I sent it to originally.
Which email?
I don't know if it's in your spam.
I'm gonna check.
Board members,
I'll check the spam again. Is that the draft? Is that the one we had with you? May I come down there by you? Because I can, if it's there, I can just show you.
Hi, Evelyn. Miss Evelyn. Look at her. How are you? I can speak. The meeting has been a little bit postponed, tabled. Who's that lady? The young lady. Who's that lady? Who's that lady?
Can we take a recess? I'm doing a motion to take a recess. I'm just calling a recess. It's 7:10.